Today we want to cover how to add and subtract decimal numbers. Um, Again, one of the problems that students have is trying to realize now when should I line up my decimals and when is it not important to line up my decimals. And if we remember back to fractions, really a decimal is just a fraction whose, whose denominator is always a power of 10. So its denominator could be 10 or 100 or 1,000 and it's all based on our base 10 system. So anytime I see a decimal, I think of a fraction with a power of 10. And if we think back to our fractions, remember that when we add fractions or subtract fractions, that's when we need a common denominator. When we multiply or divide fractions, we don't need a common denominator. So when we're adding and subtracting decimals, that's when we need a common denominator, or we need to line up our decimals. When we're multiplying or dividing decimals, lining up our decimals won't be necessary. We can just go ahead and multiply, and then we'll deal with where to place the decimal point after that. So if I was to look at something like this, the way I would think about it, and you've often thought about it this way, is that first number really means 3 units, right? Whereas the second number really means there's no units. Now, you normally wouldn't write 0 units, but in this case I will. There's no tenths. And there's 5 hundredths. Remember that last part, hundredths. Okay. And 0.71 means, again, there's 0 units. But now there's 7 tenths. And there's 1 hundredth. So if I go to add those up, I have 3 units, 7 tenths, and 6 hundredths. Now, I normally wouldn't write it out this way. Instead, I would write it 3 decimal 7 for the 7 tenths, 6. So as you can see, we really need to line up our decimals here. So if we were to look at this question, right down at the bottom here, add 15 and 0.283 and 0.052. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my place chart here to line them up. So when I think of 15, my decimal really is right after the 5. So that really means I have 110 and 5 units, and then nothing after that. Now, normally we don't write that out, but you could, if you chose to, write out 0, 0, 0. But normally we don't, right? But lining up that decimal is going to be important. So now if I look at that second number, okay, let's do the second number in green. Okay, I have no units, so I'm going to put that in. Again, normally we wouldn't, but in this case we do. There's 2 tenths, there's 8 hundredths, and 3 thousandths. I'm going to do the last number here in red. So once again, there's no units, there's 0 tenths, there's 5 hundredths, and 2 thousandths. Now I can combine those. So when I go to combine those, 3 thousandths and 2 thousandths gives me 5 thousandths. 8 hundredths and 5 hundredths gives me 13 hundredths. Now, just like with other numbers, if I have 10 100ths, that's really 1/10. So I'm going to make this 3, and I'm going to carry my 1. I'm going to put it up there. So now I have 1/10 and 2 tenths, and 0 gives me 3 tenths. Decimal, add up 5 units, and 1 1. So my answer would be 15.335. All right. When we look at subtraction, we're going to deal with subtraction exactly the same way. So when I look at this first number, 4.5, that means I have 4 units. I have 5 tenths. And again, I don't have any hundredths and I don't have any thousandths. Now, normally we wouldn't write down the zeros, but again, in this case, if you choose to, you can, just to keep track of the fact that we don't have any there. I'm going to write the second number in green. I have 0 units. I have 7 tenths, 2 hundredths, and 5 thousandths. Now, in order to subtract them, remember I'm subtracting the larger number from the smaller number here. So when I start way over on my right-hand side, I want to take away 5 thousandths, but I don't have any. So I'm going to have to do some borrowing. So I'm going to show that in red. I want to borrow for my thousandths, I want to borrow from my hundredths, but I don't have any hundredths there. So I'm going to have to get some hundredths from the tenths. So I'm going to change this, and that's going to become 4 tenths, and that'll give me 10 hundredths. But I'm going to borrow from there, so that's not going to be 10 hundredths anymore. It's going to be 9 one-hundredths, and this is going to be 10 thousandths. So now I can subtract that. 10 minus 5 is 5. And now I look at my thousandths. 9 minus 2 is 7. And once again, now I have 4 tenths, and I want to take away 7. I don't have enough. So I'm going to have to do some more borrowing. I'm going to borrow from my unit. So there's going to be 3 units, and I'm going to turn those into 10 tenths, which will give me 14 tenths. But 14 tenths minus 7 tenths is 7. And 3 minus 0 is 3. So my answer here would be 3.75. And again, it's really important when we're adding and subtracting then that we're going to have to line up our decimals.